The program for 1 Million Cups is pretty simple. We invite 2 local entrepreneurs to come up and give you information about their business. They have 6 minutes to do that, which is followed up by 20 minutes of question and answers. So that's where we really see the value coming from this structure. It allows you guys, us, the community, to be able to interact with entrepreneurs that are doing great things here in the city. So we're really excited about the entrepreneurs that we have for you today. First, I'd like to take care of a couple pieces of business. One, we want to thank the Kauffman Foundation for letting us use their space, for hosting us every week, for taking care of so much of the logistics to make sure that this happens. So a huge thank you. It's been amazing. We've been in this space for so long. Yes, give them a round of applause. The next thing, to help them out, make sure that your coffee cups and trash, anything that you bring in, gets back to either some of the trash cans that are in the back of the room, or you can see some of these trays that are set out that you can put those coffee cups on. So I think that pretty much does it for getting things going. We do our announcements in the middle now, but I would like to introduce to you Brennan Riley with EON Sports. He's got a really great startup that he's doing, started here pretty much locally. The University of Kansas is on board with what he's doing, but I'm going to let him give you the details of what's going on. So give him a round of applause.
All right, I figured I'd put on some videos while I talk as opposed to my boring PowerPoints. My name is Brendan Riley. I'm the CEO of EON Reality Sports. And what we do is we do virtual reality training for athletes. For all intents and purposes, I call it fighter pilot training for quarterbacks. We put you actually in a game, in the environment. You put on the headset. You'll see some of the things here in a little bit, what we call an iCube, and it feels like you're actually in the game. It feels like you're in a video game-like environment. And the whole idea, the principle of everything is built on the idea the more you do something, the better you be. The better you are, the more successful you'll become. So in order to understand kind of where we're going as a company and everything, it's good to understand kind of our backstory and our history. I am recognized as one of the most prominent Hall of Fame earning first-class water boys that the University of Kansas men's basketball team has ever seen. I work for Coach Self at KU. I was a graduate assistant at Illinois State, and I wanted to be a college basketball coach. That was my dream. I figured, you know, going and learning from these guys who are top-notch would be the best for my career. And what I saw at the professional level, the collegiate level, and the high school level, my dad's a high school coach here in town, was how these athletes prepared at all the different levels. And I saw some pretty glaring deficiencies with how they prepared. And you can see this kind of showing you the IQ behind me. But one thing, like we had entire guys' jobs was video coordinators. Their whole job was just to cut film. We spent hours upon hours with athletes in the film room looking at opposing defenses, self-scout, things like that. And then the kicker was we'd actually go to the court and we'd simulate against next week's offenses or defenses. And most of the times the point guards on those teams was me. And I know I look like LeBron, but I wasn't preparing these guys at the level they should have been preparing at. So what I wanted to do was take an understanding of how is a better way to teach and train these athletes and understand more of the learning process in humans. And what I did was I talked to neuroscientists, brain researchers, did tons of reading. And I'm condensing a long presentation in a very few short minutes, but basically those guys all said the same thing. The way we teach our students, the way we train our employees, and in our case, the way we train our athletes, it's not conducive to how as humans we're wired to learn. We learn best by doing. So understanding that, I wanted to take this type of technology, virtual reality, and apply it to sports, and I had no idea what I was doing. I talked to people in Europe and in Asia, and I found a company in California that specialized, and this is a video of theirs, that specializes in this, and it's EON Reality Sports, or EON Reality Inc., and they specialize in energy training, in oil and gas training, nuclear, aerospace, defense. And I said, listen, you guys do some amazing stuff. I want to take what you're doing, I want to start a company with you and fully focus on sports. So they said, great, come on out, let's start the company. So I got out there and I thought I knew. I was 24. I was like, okay, I convinced my wife or my fiance. It worked out. She came out with me and we got married. But we went out there and I thought I knew everything. I said, okay, I read TechCrunch. I've seen the social network. I know how this works. we had this killer idea, we raised a lot of money, and then we just raised some more, and then we raised some more, and then we sell it, and we make a lot of money. And I'm sure if a lot of you are honest with yourselves, that's probably how, with whatever first business you started, that's the thought process. Like, where do I raise money? Where do I get the money? So what my partners at EON Reality very quickly said was, prove it in the marketplace. Either get users or make sales. So we didn't have anything. I had jet engines, I had oil and gas rigs to show, but I got in front of head football coaches, athletic directors, and the first guy that we got in front of was over at University of Kansas, Cheyenne Zenger, and he's an old football, well, he's not old, don't tell me I said that, but he's a football coach by trade that's now an athletics director. And I said, listen, this is what we can do, this is the type of technology we have, and we want to apply it to sports. And I'll switch this back over. And so he said, listen, you know what? I've been thinking and dreaming about this for a long, long time. So with his involvement and University of Kansas involvement, we were able to go from an idea to a prototype. And as soon as we had a prototype, I got in front of a Big Ten school that I can't name yet, but we'll be able to name soon. And they bought it on the spot the day they saw it. So before we even launched the software, we had 2 paying users. So we launched 4 weeks ago, and I have been since going around the country, meeting with coaches, meeting with athletic directors, showcasing the technology, because it really is you must see it to truly understand it. But we're really excited about the NFL teams. We're really excited about the collegiate teams. But it's the first time in human history that this type of technology is at a cost-effectiveness point that we can apply it to high schools and youth football. So for us, we went thinking that we were going to design and develop these large, big solutions and think, okay, we might have 60 clients to 100 clients a year. You're talking the elite of the elite. How do we get this and utilize this, in the mass volume? And as we were developing, there's a lot of technology advancements, not really, we were just in the right place at the right time, that have happened that we can now go from, in 8 months' time, we went from 60 to 100 potential clients to about 150 to 200,000 potential teams and potential clients. So for us, it's a really exciting opportunity for us. We just moved from Los Angeles to Kansas City. I'm a native Kansan, so it's great to be back. It's great to be plugged into this entrepreneurial ecosystem that is Kansas City, and it's an exciting time to be doing this, and my time's up.
First question up front.
This is awesome. I always wanted Tony Stark's lab. So this is something I've been waiting to see for a while, and I want to ask you if you guys have approached this. I've thought for a while that this kind of technology would be really great in architecture firms to be able to do fly-throughs of concepts of buildings way past paper,
Yep.
right? To actually physically walk through it, right? Is that something that you guys have pursued?
Yeah, and actually, when I went out to California, when I actually worked for EON for a couple of years, they said, great, you want to work with us, you want to start a business with us, you better know what the heck you're talking about. And all I knew was X's and O's, if that. So I worked for them for 2 years, and along the way, I'd say that's one of the fastest growing areas of virtual reality: architecture, design, medical, and then education in general. I'd say those are the three. The energy, the aerospace, the defense, those guys, they'll be doing that, they're doing stuff that we couldn't even dream of. But now the technology is applicable in real estate, in architecture and design. So you're absolutely right. We're seeing a lot of growth in that area. It's not just sports that is exciting. That's my background, but it's a lot of different areas that it's a pretty exciting technology.
I have a question for you over here. So how does it technically work? Do you use like a Microsoft Kinect or the equivalent of such to film a game, and then that data is imported into your system, and then I don't know, it's just fascinating to me that you can, and then it stops there for me. Like, how do you get into the game?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Think of the display and the interactive techniques. That's all a way to publish the technology. That's not relegated to, it's basically whatever your budget can afford. You can do phenomenal things, starting with just a headset and scale it up to what you see there is the iCube. What we do and what we learned really early on was every coach, every single coach, and you know, to get in front of 50 guys and have every single one say, yeah, I'm in, this is awesome, that's something else. But then they would say, but we don't have the time, we don't have the resources. Even at the big schools, they're like, our graduate assistants, our video coordinators, like there's no way they have the time to do this. So we learned pretty fast to offer it as a service, and it's basically, show you, I can play it here in a little bit, but it's basically a drag and drop user interface. I might have, you'll probably catch glimpses of it in this at the beginning. But basically, it's old X's and O's and moving those guys around, applying animations, applying certain behaviors to those X's and O's. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to create a play. But like I said, what we learned really fast was that these schools, they're like, yeah, we want to use the end product, but we don't want to do the development ourselves. So we sell the software to the schools, but we also offer a service where they can offload that play creation on us. And we're working with people in India and Guadalajara, and I'm working with high school coaches all over the country that want to do that part of it. They're like, wow, we could, you know, this is a great way that we could teach and train our students, but at the same time, you know, be able to offload the plays onto them, and they can make money too. So it's not automated yet. We're working on that. I think we're 3 years from being able to actually apply, you know, motion tracking cameras throughout an arena and pick up the intricate movements. You can follow a center of mass, but you can't follow, you know, the guy throwing. You can't capture that in a 22 guy, you know, area. I might have confused you more.
Next question in the middle.
Hey, good morning. It all looks great. I had a quick thought while you were running the videos. I have a son who's a film student. I've seen him doing some pretty neat stuff with GoPros connected to just about anything.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you thought about interlacing some live staged footage. So, you know, you show the play, you show the design, you show the offense, but then you get a bunch of guys that didn't quite make it into the semi-pro leagues, and you jock them up with cameras, and then you run those plays real time, full speed, and then kind of edit that into your animation. I thought that might be the GoPro.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great input. The GoPro was kind of, I guess, college football's answer before this came around. They wanted to do. Actually, there's a school in the Big Ten. They're projecting onto a big wall GoPro captured footage, but then it's only two-dimensional. And even if you have a 3D, I'll get really geeky on you, but even if you have a 3D projector, it's popping out at you, but there's no individual interaction with that. So meaning if I look over here, I'm going to always see the 3D and it follows me, whereas in virtual reality, I can go into it and see it from this side. So we've been thinking about how to integrate real live footage, because that's what they currently do. And they've all been attaching the GoPros on the helmets so the quarterback coach can see, oh, why was he looking over there when he should have been, you know. So there's definitely a nexus there. I think as time goes on and both virtual reality and live capture becomes more and more congruent, we'll be able to see those mesh, definitely.
Question here to your right.
You were talking about using this for game prep so that you don't have GAs or second or third stringers, that they can actually see things at the speed that they would be competing at. So is it going to be tempo control? So obviously NFL team compared to a Pop Warner team moving at that speed. And then my other question was, in addition to game prep, would then there be a 3D VR playbook that a team could have, that all their plays are there for the players who are that kind of visual learner to be able to learn their plays?
Yeah, yes to both. The first one, I'd say 90% of the coaches I meet with, that's one of the top 5 reasons they want to use it. I'd say it's really variable on the coach. It's like, I can give you PowerPoint, but what you do with PowerPoint is up to you. You know, so it's really up to the coach on how he wants to use it. And then the second thing, the virtual playbook idea, visual learning, that's not what we set out to do, but we have so many youth coaches and high school coaches telling us that's so valuable for them. Because even when they just draw, it sounds kind of juvenile, but even when you draw an X and you make them run over here, cognitively I can't understand that until I see, oh, I'm supposed to go over there and do that. You know, it's a totally different learning process, and that goes back to kind of how we're, as humans, we're wired to learn.
Next question to your left.
So some of the things I was wondering was, I see a lot of visual stuff, but what if there was something that was attached to their waistband, like a step counter or some sort of like...
You're on to our next product development.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll just let you talk about it then.
No, that's great. That's the thing that all the coaches say. They all say, you know, how do I have some type of assessment? Like, you know, we send a headset and a computer to every guy, and that's how they do the scouting report, or they do their you know, pregame footage or whatever in their hotel rooms on the road. But how do we know they're, like, what, you know, it's one thing to practice all the time and then get better at what you practiced at, but make sure those reps are quality. So that's kind of the next evolution, is being able to actually, and we're meeting with all different, I mean, it's unbelievable, the people that come out of the woodwork with respect to the concussion issues and developing baselines. I mean, then you're getting into more medical, actually, how are they performing cognitively beyond what we even set out to do. But yeah, interaction by far and away is where it'll go. I want to get to the point, and I don't mind telling everyone, I'm excited about it. I want to get to the point that you put on glasses and you're actually on a football field and you're playing against holographic guys. And so we can do that now, but it's not at a cost, it's very cost prohibitive for just one team to do. So we have interactive components as kind of the next step.
Question over here. Mic's on its way.
Two-part question, really. First is, have you considered getting involved with Google Glass at all, based on what you just said? Second, have you considered getting involved with IMG Academy? Just kind of seems like that would be a perfect match.
Absolutely. Yes to both. Google Glass is really, really good for certain uses for what we're doing. I think probably version 2 will be better, just because you know, you're limited to that screen in the top right-hand corner. No one was more excited when that came out than I was. And then the second question, IMG. IMG and IMG-like academies, absolutely. Where I've talked to, it's Coach Winky's down there. I've talked to his director of ops a bunch about integrating it into their programs. And I think that's where the most value, you know, can be had, is you have, you know, in the oil and gas industry, there's an executive that uses the technology, and he said, I want to get this technology and I want to basically condense 15 years of infield experience in only 3 man years. So if you can apply that and apply that same benefits, you have juniors and seniors at high school operating at Peyton Manning's level. Now, I'm not saying they're all going to do that, but that's the kind of power that you can instill. So IMG's perfect.
Question right here.
So what about basketball, hockey, soccer?
Yeah, yep.
Analogs?
Have a lot of requests coming in almost daily from overseas for soccer, rugby, Australian football, all different types of things. There's no question that other sports this is extremely applicable in. My background's actually in basketball, so all the guys I used to work with are like, when are you going to come up with something for basketball? Football is perfect because when you're before the snap, there's a lot of reads you have to make. And to simulate those reads will help you in the game. And then the first 2 seconds after the snap, you know, once a guy hits you, you're kind of, that's weight room training. That's not mental training. So as time goes on, I think that the more sports-specific applications, even referees, we've had referees contact us. So as time goes on, we'll get more and more involved in those other areas.
Question right here.
How does the interaction work with the virtual world and the athlete?
It depends what, I guess, simulation you're using. Like for the low end, you have to use just a headset and a computer, and that, there's no better way to describe it. You put it on, I have it here if we can show you guys later, but you put it on and it's like you're in the game. The interaction's done with an Xbox controller in that, and then you can scale all the way up to these extremely large immersive environments where you got the glasses on, and when I take a step in that video game world, I'm actually moving in that world. So you're going beyond just, you know, filling the hole or filling the gap with you know, an Xbox controller, as opposed to physically doing it and being able to fill it. So it depends on, you know, what type of space we have, what type of budget they have. You know, it's scalable though.
Right here.
Could you comment on what kind of protection you have for your brand as others come in to the same concept?
Yeah, yeah. We're in the process of doing all the patent stuff. But as far as being able to patent a video game idea, it's pretty hard. You can patent the process in which you did it. But what really has been great for me is I've been able to lean on EON Reality for it's built on their software and it's built with their technology. So we've been able to make sure that whatever we do is proprietary and that no one can touch us in that regard. I don't know if that answered your question. Somewhat.
Brendan, I have a thought and then a question. The thought is, in the region, there's another company that has scaled, crazy fast in this space called Huddle up in Nebraska. So I'm curious if there's a partnership there or if there's a lot of things that you can learn from their expansion and how they've been able to go to market, not only with youth teams, but all the way up the scale there to professional sports. And then my other question is, and I think there's a few interested economic development professionals in the crowd. What's your experience been like moving, sort of from LA back to Kansas City? You went to school around here. Your first client is basically around here, so it makes a lot of sense to be here. Plus the presence of Google and all that. But can you talk about, what it's like trying to start a company in LA versus trying to start in Kansas City?
First of all, I'm a terrible surfer, so I was doomed from the start. But to answer your first question, Huddle, they've had tremendous success. They absolutely would be a great partner for us. And it's kind of a perfect, evolution. You do need some components of game film, and you do need some components of actually simulation. So there's a perfect partnership, waiting there. And we've been approached by a lot of Huddle-like companies that want to team up with us. And then the second question is, from an economical standpoint, it's a lot easier and simpler to run a startup from Kansas City than it is Los Angeles. Los Angeles, you are surrounded by a greater mass, so there is, just by numbers-wise, you can find quicker talent, I'd say. But really, having been in the entrepreneurial world in Los Angeles and in Orange County, Kansas City is kind of neck and neck, in my opinion. In fact, coming from LA to Kansas City, for me, was a no-brainer. I had family here and so on, but I want Kansas City to be on the map. I want Kansas City to be known as more than just the flyover state. If you guys have lived on the coast, you go out there and they're all like, so what farm did you grow up on? And I'm like, I don't even know, what a cow, I wouldn't even know how to milk it or anything, so. So I always, I'm always like repping Kansas City out there. And so when it's, come back here, and then it was unbelievable to me, because when I was here, I was coaching, so I didn't really know the entrepreneurial or the tech world. And it's unbelievable, the talent base we have, and the ability to pull from. We got a lot of colleges nearby. So it's I'd say the one advantage they do have probably over the Midwest is money, and that's kind of, if you go to Boston and San Francisco. But outside of that, from a talent-based standpoint, and that's what we're most interested in, it's a no-brainer for us.
Next question right here.
I had a quick question. This is, I see that you have instant visualization, so you can have a player get the mental memory of what's going to take place. Are you getting to the point, or is it your goal to get to a point where you can actually train them as well, so the coach can put in 3 plays in this day, and then the player can go home that night, work on his first step, work on, downstream blocking or whatever, on his own?
Yeah, and actually we can put you into any player's face mask. So we can, if you're trying to teach a safety, what we teach, it's one thing if you're watching just passive game film. That's passive memorization. That's how it's currently done. But it's another thing if I'm actually seeing from the safety's eyes, and I'm supposed to read, what is important to me as a safety, and what are my responsibilities. So absolutely, we do that currently.
Wonderful. Next question.
I had a question about kind of, first off, the interactivity. Like, do they have feedback that they can give in order to kind of change the player? Is it purely just kind of passively watching? And have you played with the Oculus Rift or plan on integrating it?
Yeah, yes to both. I actually have the Oculus with me today. That's the biggest issue I've had when explaining, like, I got in front of so many guys before. I literally had jet engines to show these guys, and these guys don't know me from anybody, so they're kind of like, what is this guy doing? So now I can walk in, I can show them football software on the Oculus Rift, and they're like, holy moly, I get it. I understand where the benefits lie. So what was your first question?
The interactivity.
Oh, the interactivity. Yeah, any type of interactivity that we want to plug in, I do have the luxury to kind of offload that. EON has the ability to bring in, if you want haptic feedback, if you want biofeedback, if you want sensory feedback, all of that stuff we can integrate into what we do.
So that's pretty much the time that we have for the first presentation here. But we always wrap up with one question. What can we as a community do to help what you're doing?
Yeah, I think two things. I talked about Kansas City's startup ecosystem, if you will. And if you are, I've had some people already reach out to me that are interested in being involved. And if there's a way that we can help you and you could possibly help us, we are more than open to hearing it. If you're marketing agency, if you're design or whatever it is, we want to hear from you, and we'd love to connect with you. And then if you do have a nephew or a son or a cousin that plays college, professional, or high school football, introduce us to him, and we'd love to help him become a better player, get that scholarship, and help his team win more. So that'd be it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Did you say Barb cutting off, or am I just announcing the floor? All right. So we have empty seats here in the front, so you people in the back, come up here, because that's going to buy me time while I figure out what our announcements are. This is what happens when I come in late and I miss the Monday call. Barb, regarding Global Entrepreneurship Week, come on up. Tell us all about it. I noticed there's a piece of paper on the table.
Our slides. Hi, I'm Barb Schulte. I'm here in the communications department at the Kauffman Foundation, and we wanted to start getting our plugs out for Global Entrepreneurship Week. It's around the country, it's November 18th through the 24th, but in Kansas City, 1 week wasn't enough for us, so we're actually starting the week prior, November 13th through the 24th, and there's at least 35 activities that are currently scheduled. Can we go to the next slide? These are just a sample of them. Get in the Ring, the American Startup Clash is a big international competition that the Kauffman Foundation and Sprint are bringing here, right here to this very room. We'll have a big boxing ring set up the evening of November 18th, and we will have 8 of the best startups from across the country who come in and actually literally deliver their pitch in front of 5 pretty high-profile celebrity judges, including Mark Echo and Denmark West, Lisa Gansky, Matt Rubel, and I'm blanking on who the 5th is. And then that's the night of the 18th, and on November 19th, the top U.S. finalists will then be flown, all expenses paid, thanks to Sprint, to Rotterdam to compete against 8 international startups for the chance to secure up to $1 million in funding. There's a number of other activities up here. 1 Million Cups will be going on that week. There's a mayor's conference that's taking place here on the 20th. Startup Crawl is in the planning stages right now for the 21st. A Connect at Fast Track event that will celebrate their 20th anniversary. Basically, let's go back to the previous slide. Basically, you can keep abreast of all of this information at sourcelink.com/GEW-KC. There are bookmarks on every single chair in here, so please take one with you to remind you of that website address, and we really hope you participate. Just a lot of great things going on. Again, November 13th through the 24th. Thanks.
Thank you, Barb. Let's see. We have a 1 Million Cups alum who has a Kickstarter campaign going on. Jason, do you want to have a quick word about that?
Hello, everybody. I'm Jason Grill. I'm a founder of a media firm in Kansas City. I do media relations, public affairs, and government relations, and host the Entrepreneur KC show. And I was lucky enough to be able to present during 1 Million Cups at Global Entrepreneurship Week last year with one of my co-founders, a new company I started called SOC 101. I'm kind of in charge of the media outreach for the company and some of the daily stuff with getting the word out. We launched a Kickstarter campaign. Yes, they approved us. It took a while. But we launched a Kickstarter campaign yesterday on KMBZ Radio, and we are taking our company to the next level. We've had great success since we presented here due to the 1 Million Cups team, the Kauffman Foundation, and we're going to be launching a new line to get into Team Line, which is great because it was great to hear about college sports and whatnot before, but we think this could be huge for our company. So we are doing a Kickstarter, which launched yesterday, asking for $25,000 in the first day. Some of you in this room even donated. We've already reached $2,500. Our donation levels are very small, and then we have one for $250 where you can design your own sock and name your own sock. So we're kind of entering the next phase of the company. It's been a lot of fun to work on it with my co-founders, but I'd ask for your support as we try to grow the company. And our website is sock101.com. The link to the Kickstarter is on the website. So you just click there and go there, and appreciate it. I hope all you guys are enjoying your socks, and we appreciate all your help, and thank you for all you do for Kansas City and entrepreneurship.
And finally, Mr. Richard Shipley, a 1 Million Cups regular and alum.
Good morning, 1MC. So we presented, probably a month or so ago, the Made in Kansas City initiative, and I wanted to get a minute of your time to invite everybody to come out this Friday to Better Block KC, where we, in conjunction with First Friday and Better Block, will be hosting our first Made in KC Expo. Better Block has put together a retail plaza, and we've filled it with local vendors that are manufacturing their products here in Kansas City. It's a free event. There's going to be a press conference at 5. The mayor's going to come out and talk, and hit the QR code. It'll go to the Facebook page with all the event details, but wanted to get everybody to come out and show your support for people that are producing stuff here in KC. So, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. All right, that's it for announcements. So next up, we have our second presenter. So I hope nobody in this nobody in this room has been involved in a house fire, but you know, that's serious business. I was, back in my college days, involved in one of those, and I did everything wrong. You're supposed to leave, not just get up and go back to bed. So at any rate, our next presenter, Helen Betts, is going to tell us about S-CapeMate, which is a product to make sure we can all get out safely when there is a fire in the home. Please welcome Helen Betts.
Thank you. Good morning, Kansas City. My name is Helen Betts, as he said, and I am the inventor of the S-CapeMate. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. When I was a kid, I was in a fire, and I was at a neighbor's house, and the neighbors forgot I was in the house. So the dog that fell asleep with me in the room, and his name was Boss, woke me up. He kept nudging me and kept getting in my face and, Helen, wake up, in his little dog talk. And eventually, I woke up and I started smelling the smoke in the house. And so Boss and I go running out of the back of the house, and we run around the side of the house, and we see the neighbors looking at their house. And then they turn around and they look at me, and they say, Helen, we forgot you were in the house. So one of the S-CapeMates is going to be named Boss, in memory of the long-lost Boss that helped save me. The S-CapeMate is inside of a stuffed animal. When it's triggered by a smoke alarm, it will start speaking in the parent's voice, a pre-recorded voice saying, Ashley, wake up, it's a fire in the house. Get out of here right now. Also, for the deaf community, it will start vibrating, because if something's in your bed shaking, you're going to wake up. Okay? Also, for it has a mask inside the belly. Because when the kids are dying in fires, when people are dying in fires, they're not dying because they're being burned. It's because of smoke inhalation. So inside of the ESCapeMate's belly, there is a mask to help prevent smoke inhalation. Also, let me see what the fourth thing is. The shaking, the waking, the eyes turn into flashlights. Because when they're dying, they cannot see their way out. They crawl under the beds, they crawl in the closets. The ESCapeMate's eyes or nose, because that's the next step on the prototype, will be the eyes to the world to help your child get out of the house. With all those, the combination of the four, somebody should save their babies. I want to save mine. That's my baby. Well, life is precious. And if this were your house and your child in there, what would you do to save them? Everything. I would do anything to save my kids if they were in a house fire. And the beginning of, I think it was March of this year, on NBC, they did Jeff Rawson did a report on why kids are not waking up in fires. And they did the simulation, the pumping the smoke under the doors, and the kids, they went through the drill on why you need to wake up, because there's a fire and you can die. The kids, they came when the kids didn't expect them. And the parents said, well, when this happens, you need to get up. When you hear this alarm going off, you need to wake up. That didn't happen. The kids slept through it. The parents were standing there. They were mortified. Well, we taught our children. We went through this drill. What has happened? There was an Ohio State professor doing a study on why kids don't respond to the smoke alarms, because they are not little adults. They sleep through smoke alarms because they're in deeper sleep. They're in REM sleep, and it's harder for them to awaken. So with Ready Teddy in the bed with your baby, it will give them a better chance of survival. That was my design. That's what I saw in my dream. So initially, it's going to look like this. But right now, it looks like this one.
Wake up! There is a fire! Get out of the house! Halfway, wake up! There is a fire! Get out of the house!
So whatever your emergency message is for your child, whatever they will respond to, help them respond. And the design for the ESCapeMate is the belly button here. That's going to be my trademark. If it doesn't have a belly button, it's not an ESCapeMate. So remember that on down the line. Because it's important, because the belly button, for me, represents the mother's love for a child. Take care of your kids, even though they're not in your womb. That's what it represents to me. And later on, and still to come, like I said, the dog, boss, scat cat, later gator, grab it rabbit. And for the macho men or the teenagers who don't want to sleep with a teddy bear or a rabbit, there's going to be, the technology is going to be put in a football or a basketball or a KU, something, you know, or pillows, in case they, or pillows for the macho men. Plus, with the prototypes being made, the proof of concept is already here. We already know it's going to work. So help us make it work for America. And not just America, it's for the world. Because there are houses, there are beds, there are people all across the world. And there are fires going on all across the world. So it has no geographical boundaries. It can go to China, Malaysia, wherever you choose, wherever it chooses to go. And with the parent's voice, like in the study, The only reason why the kids woke up is because they heard the parent's voice saying, "Get up, it's a fire. Why aren't you waking up?" So with Ready Teddy, Scat Cat, later Gator, Boss, my savior. Well, not my savior, but we take that back. He's not my savior, but he saved me that day. Okay. And this is our website right now. So you can go on and spread the word, help us save people's lives. This is so important. I wouldn't be here if somebody didn't save my life. Thank you, Lord.
Great stuff. Let's get some questions for Helen. Go.
Helen, great product. Have you thought about adding a strobe light since you've already got a flashlight feature? Because I know a lot of times people wake up to a flashing strobe light. That, and are there components to be able to monitor like carbon monoxide as well?
That is in the making. That's the next step. We have enhancements coming, and that was one of them, so we're here. Well, come on, y'all, come on.
Run, John, run.
Hi, great product, but what is the durability of this product? I have children that can tear apart anything within under 5 seconds, so if they know there's something in there that could detect a fire, they're going to be trying to find that detector.
Well, we're trying to make it as kid-friendly as possible, but as durable as possible also. Teach your kids, this is not actually a toy. It looks toyish, but it's not actually a toy. It will be here to save your life. Mama's putting this thing in your life to help save you in case of a fire. Give them instruction. Leave it here, sleep with it. In case of a fire, it will help you. It will wake you up. Mommy will still be here with you in case of a fire. Ashley, wake up, it's a fire in the house. Just teach them. This is here for your safety.
Question here.
Good morning. I understand that the bear is indicated, or it's activated by the sound of the alarm. Is there a way that it can be activated just purely by the, also by the smoke, or by the fire?
Well, we thought about the smoke initially, but if it's under a bed or under the child and it can't sense the smoke, that might be a liability. So we tried to come up with an idea that it would hear the megahertz from the alarm going off instead of the smoke.
So if you would, walk us through the process that you went through to actually get to the prototype that you have, because you yourself, I don't think, started off with a background in electronics or anything.
None
how were you able to
whatsoever.
get to where you're at?
Well, I started working for the Kansas City, Kansas Chamber of Commerce, and I met my soul sister, Cindy Cash. She introduced me to Greg Kendall of the Wyandotte County, or Wyandotte Economics Development Council. He introduced me to Elisa Waldman from the Kansas Small Business Development Center. She sent me to the university, UMKC, and the person that I talked to there was named Mark Manley, but he couldn't really help me because he was getting ready to go to the USPTO office, so he said it would be a conflict of interest. So he sent me to the University of Central Missouri. And there I met Terry Nixon. And Terry Nixon was the person over the entrepreneur zone there. And months went by, I'm waiting for a phone call, and eventually Terry calls me back. He said, "Helen, we can't help everybody, but we're gonna help you." And I'm like, yes, yes. So he got me in touch with a teacher, the electronics teacher, who said they can do it as a class project. So they started doing my first prototype as a class project. And then it just blossomed and became my baby, and my baby came out, it was born.
That's great. Next question right here.
Something flashed briefly on screen while you were talking, and it said something about committed to making things locally. Can you touch on where you're making your product? Are you making it here in Kansas City?
That is my goal. We haven't manufactured anything yet. That is my next step. We're trying to get it in the market. We're trying to stay local, but people are pointing me to China and Hong Kong and different. Can you help me get something local? Because that's what I'm looking for. That's what my desire is. I want to help America get jobs, and my next door neighbor, not my neighbor across the seas. I'm not saying that I don't want to help them, but I would help us first. Start at home and then work our way out.
Helen, question for you here in the back.
Kind of in line with the gentleman's question up here to my right, have you considered that many fatalities and fires are due to the fact that the homes did not have a working fire detector? Would you consider including a fire detector as part of a package to go with that? And not only that, but have these teddy bears, or I forgot what you call it there, along with the smoke alarms in fire stations where they can distribute to families that have the need for this type of product.
Exactly. I was thinking about coupling or marrying, like with First Alert or Kid, whomever would come on board with me. And that would be an incentive for them because they're doing specials while their smoke alarms are not working for kids. So it would be an advantage to them to come jump on board with me so we can be married and walk on down the aisle together. That's my goal. And for I've already contacted the Wyandotte County fire chief, and he's going to be getting back with me, and we're going to see what we can do, because that's very important.
Next question in the middle.
As an adult who actually sleeps through smoke detectors, I'm kind of hopeful that this will be something that's on the market soon for myself, because I actually have scared people in the past when I sleep through them. But on the thought of finding local manufacturers, I don't know if anyone else can kind of chime in here. I had heard that Build-A-Bear was actually fairly local. Does anyone know about that?
That was actually going to be my next comment. They're out of St. Louis.
Yeah, well, what about partnering with a company like Build-A-Bear who already has the components? And he and I were just talking about, what if you had parents that were able to go into a Build-A-Bear store, build a personalized version of this for their children, and then you kind of eliminate some of the problems with manufacturing locally.
That's in that we have to go down to St. Louis to talk to the folks there about licensing it, but yeah, we've started. We just haven't left the city yet.
And I'd just add to that, I was lucky enough to meet Maxine Clark, the founder of Build-A-Bear, here at a Teach for America event. She's on the board, and I'd be more than happy to make an introduction because I think there's some synergy there. And she's just a rock star. So she's also a fan of, well, visits 1 Million Cups, and I think that it's kind of a circuit now, so we'd be more than happy to make an introduction for you.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it.
Next
Any connections
question.
you can. I'm open.
Next question in the middle.
I have one more question, sorry. Have you thought about what is your price point?
$39.95, $40.
First model.
Right here.
They bring up an excellent point about the combination, like kind of a deal with the smoke detector and the bear. And that would bring up another thing where you could kind of work your smoke detector packaged with it to go with the bear, sort of like a Wi-Fi or a Bluetooth. And that would kind of help circumvent the problem of smoke detection, alarm detection, megahertz detection, because it would just come on with the alarm itself.
Right. You're a smart man. Can I talk to you afterwards? Thank you.
Next question in the back, in the middle here.
Okay, let's play the names game.
Yes.
Helen is, of course, the sweetest person in the room. She doesn't even need sugar in her coffee, so I really want to see her succeed. My question is, why do we name anything with a hyphen in the name of it?
Well, initially I didn't want the hyphen there. I didn't want anything but S-CapeMate, but that name's already taken. And after I talked to you last week, I tried to change it. Everything we looked for was taken. And now my business cards are made, so I said, let me just keep it like this for a minute.
For a minute.
For a
Okay,
minute.
good. So, and the other thing is, mate is kind of an Australian term, unless you're dating or something like that. And so, when we think of children, do we think that a child wants a mate, or do they want a buddy, or? So I'm just wanting everybody, as they're thinking about naming their businesses, don't put hyphens in your name. And if the name that you want is taken, maybe put KC at the end of it. Half the time, the website you want is going to become available within a year or two because someone has reserved a name and then they don't launch.
Right.
But I would urge everyone to really think carefully about their name and don't compromise.
How many people remember that escape starts with an E rather than an S?
That's kind of a play on words.
But the other parts.
And in a year, I'll go and look for the name that I want.
Question over here.
To your left.
There you go.
I enjoy your passion for this issue. I think that helps companies get going, is when there's someone with so much passion and personal experience behind this. I have two thoughts that come to mind that I wanted to share or get your reflection on. One has been touched on regarding working with others. The Build-A-Bear was one example. What came to my mind was a presenter earlier this year at 1 Million Cups who had I think a teddy bear concept for speaking to the child when the parent was traveling out of town. So I started thinking about this image, well, if we have all these teddy bears lined up at a bed, how does the child choose which one to work with? So it occurred to me there must be a way to partner and multitask these animals. In effect, the teddy bear is an extension, is a communication vehicle between the parent and the child. So I'm curious what opportunities there would be for you to partner in that capacity, just with others who want to use that animal as a device. The other question that keeps coming to my mind is, so this is a safety-oriented program or product, and I appreciate your passion for that. There has to be others out there that are also trying to deliver this safety type of device to children. What have you discovered on that, and how are you differentiating your company?
Well, we've done research, and I've had a patent attorney do a patent search for me. There's none out there that's combined. There are smoke detectors out there. There are bears out there, but none in combination. And when you're talking about the other presenter, think this. Which one is more important? Just talking to your kids or saving your kid's life? You choose. What are your options?
Next question in the middle.
So I think the product you were talking about was bed bugs, and so one thing that the bed bugs did is they had the ability to, because I can only imagine in an environment like this where there's a fire and it's a young kid, to kind of see the flashing light and hear that voice might be scary. So the bed bugs, I think, had the technology where it was the parent's voice that was recorded in there. Is that maybe something that you guys were considering? And the second question, like, what's been the hardest thing or sort of the greatest challenge so far?
Getting it to market. I'm gonna get that one right while it's clear in my mind. Getting it to market. And I'm sorry, it just skipped my mind what you said at first. Well, I'm not sure if I'm gonna answer that right, but the parent's voice was so significant in the special that I had seen. And it was the major factor in the kids responding. That when your mama says something, or when your dad says something, you're gonna respond to their voice. Sir.
No, got a question here in the middle.
Okay.
Hi, Helen.
Hi.
First, I want to tell you, your personality is so lovely. I can't believe that family would have forgotten you, especially when you were so young.
I know it.
And second, I come from a commercial aviation background, airline pilot, so I've had a lot of fire training. As you were going through your presentation, and the different things about the bear really were impressing me. The one that really impressed me was having a flashlight. I carry a flashlight with me everywhere I go. If I'm in a hotel or at a friend's house or whatever, I have a flashlight. And specifically, I have a headlight so I can use my hands. So I really, really love that idea about your bear. The mask also really impressed me. And I'm really curious about the mask. Could you open up the bear that you have and tell us a little bit about that mask and where it's stuffed and that sort of thing?
Not this
The bear that has the mask in it was the first. This bear doesn't have the mask in it yet. My first prototype has it in there. But since this was the latest one, we brought that one because it was the upgrade from the previous one. But the mask is...
Basically, it's a cotton mask. I mean, it's not necessarily a fireproof mask by any, but it's like putting a wet washcloth over your mouth just to help keep the smoke from getting into your lungs. It just gives you a little bit longer to be able to breathe, a little bit longer to get out of the house. Frankly, at this point, there's nothing special about the mask other than the fact that it's there handy for the kid to be able to put on. Some comments about whether it fits an adult, fits a kid. Well, the one that we're showing has, just has strings go over your ears, so it would fit any of us. But good points on that.
Next question right up front.
Hi, Mom. All right. Once the bear is activated from the smoke alarm, what do you have to do to turn it off? Or is it stay on for the limited amount of time?
Well, it stays on until the parent deactivates it. It will give the child enough time to escape the house.
It can become annoying because every 10 seconds it repeats, but we don't want it accidentally turned off. We want the adult to turn it off. I think that annoyance is going to be very minimal compared to everything else going on.
And it'll make you want to turn it off.
Yeah.
Question right here in front.
Hi. I wanted to know about the ability to drill. So, for instance, you were talking about in the study that it was the parent's voice that woke them up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like anything, if they don't remember what they're supposed to do when that happens, then it's all for naught. So is there an ability to practice? Can you set a drill like you would with a family with your evacuation plan, set off the fire alarm and do a drill? Is there a way to do that?
Well, just do it. Nike, just do it. It's your responsibility to take care of your children. Set a time, set up once a month. When it's time to change your batteries in your smoke alarm, it should be more than once a year, but set a time for your children to help them in all occasions, especially in an occasion that can take their lives. Just set the time up.
I think you mean, is there a button you can push to make it activate the practice?
Right, there is.
Like a piece of paper on fire and waving it in front of your dog.
Right, there is. You can practice with it. It has
There's that.
components. Thank you, sir. You just broke that down for me.
All right, Helen, we're going to give you the last word here with our question we like to always ask. What can we as community do for you to help make sure S-CapeMate is in every child's room?
Word of mouth, marketing. I have one of the best marketing people there, but we haven't started yet. But marketing, getting the local distributors. If anyone knows anybody local that can help us get this out to the world, please come to me. I need you. They need you.
And also, if you have any advice on how to sift through all of the advice that comes and pick out the important pieces, that's always tough.
Right, I got you.
All right, thank you very much, Helen.
Thank you.
Before we let you guys go this week, I have an exciting announcement. My name's Nate Olson, and I run the 1 Million Cups program nationally. And we're really excited that this week we're going to be launching our national newsletter. So once a month, if you're a part of our mailing list, we are going to be mailing out lessons that we've learned in grassroots entrepreneurship and through 1 Million Cups in all 15 cities that we're in all across the country. So we will profile cities, community organizers, We've also curated a reading list, so if you're an entrepreneur, things that we really liked around the web. And it also has a launch schedule for upcoming cities. So there's a lot of information on there. So if you're interested, go to 1millioncups.com. There's subscribe to our newsletter. Just put in your email, and you should be getting something from us by the end of the week, and then every month after that. So I'm really excited, and the next 2 cities to launch will be, just for an update for our national movement, we wanted to hit 20 cities. By the end of this year, and we will be in 20 cities by the end of October. So yes. 1 Million Cups is born and raised here in Kansas City, and we've been spreading the movement all across the country, and it's been a crazy year, but this is a movement led by entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, and so to Mike, John, George, and Melissa, who volunteer their time week in and week out. They're almost coming up on a year of service, so make sure to say thank you for everything that they do. And then just to put another bug in your ear, we are very passionate about transition, and so our entrepreneurs have been, at least in Kansas City, have been volunteering their time for almost a year. And we're going to do that transition in early November as part of Global Entrepreneurship Week. So if you're interested in being a community organizer for 1 Million Cups Kansas City, please approach myself, or more importantly, approach one of our current community organizers to ask about what it takes and what they've gotten out of the process. So anyway, that's an update. Go to 1millioncupscom, sign up for our newsletter. Lots of awesome information coming at you, and we're going to keep rolling them out. So thank you. See you next week.